Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to Palmetto Sports Daily. Rick Henry here in Columbia, and it's just a two-person show today. Summer Hector joining us from Charleston, and summer's kind of like a reunion for us because Summer was an intern for me here at WIS, and now she's the weekend anchor and sports reporter at our great station WCSC in Charleston. Always a pleasure to see you, Summer.
Of course. I know. Learn from the best. Here we are now. So now we'll see how exactly I'm doing now on my own here in Charleston. But no, happy to be here. Happy to bring on the Monday here. Get our Monday going.
Hey, you're doing quite well. And speaking of reunions, how about Brent Venables, the head football coach at Oklahoma University, the former defensive coordinator for the Clemson Tigers, and this weekend he visited Clemson and actually spent some time on the sidelines during their game with Florida State. And he must have brought them some good luck, Summer, because Clemson hasn't played that well on defense. They had lost 4 straight at home, but they were able to hold that highly charged offense of Florida State to just 10 points. They beat them 24-10. They came in averaging 510 yards total offense per game, leading the ACC, 241 yards rushing. But, hey, maybe Brent Venables, he helped Dabo out a little bit. Here's what Dabo had to say about his old friend and defensive coordinator spending some time with the Tigers.
Coach V wearing the paw again on the sideline, right?
Yeah, I looked up and I was like, there's Brent. I gave him a sideline pass. I went over and I said, what do you think they're going to call right here on 2nd and 14? He's like, probably a screener draw. It's probably a screener draw. So I love Brent. I had Skowski. Skowski was in my team meeting yesterday, and he's on Brent's staff, and so it was great for just to see those guys. And man, I love Brent, and it was awesome for him to be dad and to be able to see T-Bone, blocked the punt last week. Tyler's just, you talk about one of the best leaders that we've had here, freaking Tyler Venables. This kid loves Clemson. He loves this team. He loves everything about Clemson. And, he's pretty much grown up here. And, for Brent to be able to get back, and Julie, for them to be able to get back and just, be a part of that, it was awesome. And, it was good mojo. It was good mojo. We had some good mojo down there. So it was great to see him and pulling for those guys for a strong finish.
Now, some people may think it's kind of odd. You have a current Power 5 coach, Power 4 coach, on the sidelines of another Power 4 team, but you got to give Venables a pass. I mean, his son Tyler he's on the team, and he spent some good years there at Clemson. He and Dabo are good friends. So, and then again, hey, it worked out. Maybe brought him some good mojo, and they were able to perform well and beat Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's kind of different, right, when your son's on the team. I always have so much respect for these head coaches when they can make it back to one of their kids' games, right? Because you're like, you have all this mess. And I know, obviously, they were off this Saturday. But you're like, for them to get back, I honestly respect them. But, yeah, I'm sure that's got to be kind of weird. And you're thinking about, like, Tom Allen, too. If he's like, oh, are people seeing him here being like, oh, gosh, comparing us? But I also think it goes back to the culture that Clemson has, that their former coaches can come back and feel comfortable to be down there on the sidelines. Even if your son wasn't on the team, I think Venables would still feel fine down there just because the legacy he had there and then, of course, how he left went on for a better job. So I think it's special to see him down there. And the Dabo impression of Brent Venables' voice, very good there. So respect the impression there. He would know it. I'm sure he's had some time to practice that one. But, no, cool to see. And Tyler Venables has been a competitor for that Clemson team. So cool to see. But, yeah, I know we talked about it before. This is a smaller scale. But I know a few weeks ago, like down here at Charleston Southern's homecoming, Jamie Chadwell came back. And so you're wondering if the head coach now, I know Gabe Gardenia and Chadwell are good friends, but if he's down there, like, people are seeing him down here, you wonder how they're feeling, like, oh, gosh, or people wishing it was still me. Maybe that's just my girl mindset there. But it is cool to see them and see all these guys be so cordial, to see a guy like Brent Venables come back there. And, yeah, obviously Dabo loves the son there, but it's special to see for sure.
Yeah, and it'd be a little bit different, too, if Venables, let's just say, if he were on the hot seat this season, right? But the Sooners are having a pretty good year, and everyone knows he's safe. He's not looking for another job. Like if he were to get released, so to speak. Would he consider coming back to Clemson to be defensive coordinator? Summer, what you got shaking on down there in the Port City, college football-wise?
Yeah, don't you love to just speculate on things like that? But no, speaking of SEC coaches that could be leaving, he's not on a hot seat, but the Citadel was at Ole Miss this past Saturday at a team that everyone wants their head coach. Everyone wants Lane Kiffin. He's the coach to snag if he even wants to leave Ole Miss. We don't know if he would. But the Citadel, they fell 49-0 at Ole Miss, but the spread was 54.5, so they beat the spread. So they had that going for them. I actually talked to the Citadel head coach, Maurice Drayton, about an hour ago, and he was talking about, he said, I never do moral victories, but he said they never turned the ball over in that game. They held, I think, Ole Miss's top rusher to a little over 50 yards. So he said, I don't do moral victories, but then gave off some of those lists. So I think that was his way of saying, I'm not going to call it that, but really some positives. They head back to SoCon play this Saturday. It's homecoming. They welcome the Wofford Terriers, and the Citadel and Wofford, they play for a trophy since it's the Bulldogs versus the Terriers. It's called the Big Dog Trophy. So he said whenever they play for a trophy, it's a little more exciting. He said the guys get fired up for it. And both these teams are 3-3 right now in the SoCon, so excited to see how that one plays out. The Bulldogs, obviously, we talked about a 49-0 shutout at Ole Miss, but did have some positive takeaways. Mikey Rosa, a Wando alum, had an interception in the game. Head coach Maurice Drayton talked today just about how they look to keep that momentum going as they enter back into SoCon play this Saturday.
Yeah, so we're hoping to take that fight in our daily walk, in everything that we do. At the beginning of the season, we talked about our team and being a bunch of nice guys. So it's starting to turn a little bit. So we want to not only take it into the Wofford game, but this is who we want this team to be going forward.
Yeah, Drayton told us today at the press conference, too, that actually the trip to Ole Miss was the first time a few of his players had been on an airplane. So he said an overall cool experience to see them get to go play an SEC team, get to fly for the first time. And then he said they were joking. It was only like an hour-and-a-half flight. So he said the guys were like, wait, this was quicker than having to drive to Furman or Wofford or East Tennessee State. So then he was like, now I think they're spoiled. So great. But they are back to SoCon play this weekend. And like I said, that Big Dog Trophy. So the Bulldogs want that trophy. I guess competitor-wise, if you think about a Big Dog Trophy, Rick, a Bulldog, I do think trumps a Terrier, but I don't know. What you think?
The Big Dog Trophy. Hey, I like it. I've heard of a lot worse sounding trophies, but yeah, everybody wants to be the big dog. You don't want to be the little dog or the little pup. So yeah, let's be the big dog. Give me, that big, I don't know, that big bowl of food. Hey, how about the SC State Bulldogs?
SC State? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Another
yeah,
Bulldog.
well, the way the seasons have been going for a lot of teams around the state, SC State, they are undefeated in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, looking to repeat as conference champions, and they had a big win over the weekend. They defeated the Howard Bison 42-12. It was senior day, and the Bulldogs finished undefeated at home for the second straight year under Chennis Berry. But check this out. Not only does he have 2 straight undefeated seasons at home with the Bulldogs, his last 2 years at Benedict, he was undefeated in the regular season, both of those years, won 2 conference championships back-to-back. He's trying to do the same thing at SC State. Here's Coach Berry talking about being undefeated at home.
I'm proud of this right here. I've been here 2 years now. All right, I've been here. This is my second season, and we are undefeated at home in 2 years. We were able to finish this season undefeated at home. That's a big-time accomplishment for our seniors from last year's class and our seniors from this class. And I tell them they're not going to be perfect, just like I don't call a perfect game. All right, but I want their best. All right? I want them to play with amazing effort, and I thought they did that today. So all in all, I'm grateful for them and their efforts that put us forth to find a way to go 1-0.
Yeah, undefeated at home. That's a good way to keep the alumni and all of your boosters happy, because every time they come down to Orangeburg to watch their Bulldogs play, they go home after seeing and celebrating a victory. So Coach Chennis Berry doing a great job there at SC State, and some of the conversation, as always, when you're down there, Summer, people wondering how long will they be able to keep him. They're afraid somebody's going to come.
I know. I was
and
just
scoop
about to
him
say
away.
that. Yeah. I was going to say, no matter where he goes, it sounds like he can't leave the state of South Carolina because he's got a good record winning at home when he's coaching in state here. So wherever he goes, he can't leave. But no, I agree. I mean, to come in here, do what they did last year, and then be right back in the conversation again to go back to the Celebration Bowl, what he's done there is pretty remarkable, and especially in this age of college football, right? I mean, we saw how many guys he lost last year, and when you're at the level that they are, all your good players are going to want to transfer out. So to come back this year and still be playing really well, I think is a testament to the kind of coach Barry is, the kind of staff he's built, and the program and character of these guys that they have. So I'm excited for him. Rick, I know you said you think they got as good of a chance as anyone to make that push to make it back to the Celebration Bowl. They've got, 2 more conference games? Is that right? 2 or 3?
Yeah, 2 more conference games. They play at North Carolina Central this Friday and then close it out at Delaware State. That's going to do it for the opening segment of Palmetto Sports Daily. We're taking a quick time out and be right back.
Welcome back in here to Palmetto Sports Daily. It's a Monday after a busy weekend of college football, and now that the college football playoff rankings are out, of course we're going to speculate and talk about how things are looking right now before things are actually even done. But we are into November, and looking at those playoff rankings, there is a chance right now that the ACC could not have one team in that 12-team college football playoff. Obviously, the rest of the season's still got to play out, but quite a few teams in the ACC have one loss right now. I believe quite a few are 5-1 or 4-1 right now. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the last few weeks play out. I personally still think Georgia Tech's the best team I've seen. I love that quarterback and the way he leads that team and plays. But after an unfortunate loss to NC State, that kind of shook things up for them. And now, Rick, what were you just looking at? Was it 5 teams have one loss atop those ACC standings?
Well, you've got 4 teams 5-1. Georgia Tech, Virginia,
Okay.
Pittsburgh, SMU. Duke is at 4-1. Okay, but they're only 5-4 overall. So if they were to win out and win the ACC championship, and there's a group of 5 team that has a better record, they would go to the playoff and leave the ACC outside the playoff, which is kind of remarkable, Summer, and also would be quite embarrassing. There you are, a Power 4 team, and you don't have a team strong enough to make the playoff. But it could happen if Duke runs the table. But we still have some games left to go. They've got 3 games left. You got Georgia Tech at 8-1, Virginia 8-2, Pittsburgh 7-2, SMU 7-3. So one of those 4 could also make it.
I think what's interesting, I don't know. I would have to look at Duke's schedule. Who are their last few games here? How likely is it that they went out here? So Virginia, Wake Forest, North Carolina is what producer Nick's saying. You know what? Anything could happen in that Duke-North Carolina game, too. I mean, not the season they've wanted to have, but, in a rivalry, you never know either. The Virginia game should be a good one. I think what's most surprising, though, is when this season first started, after week 1, I was like, man, it's going to come down to Miami and Florida State, and now neither of them are even in that conversation in the ACC, or we would have thought Miami, Florida State, Clemson. So it's crazy how it's kind of shaken up. So I think it kind of goes down to the unfortunate kind of turn that all 3 of those have had this season. But, yeah, that would be interesting to test to see if not one ACC team made that playoff. And like I said, I told Rick this in the break, I think Notre Dame will make it. So I think if they would just come to some agreements on that side of it, maybe they would have an ACC team in there. But maybe we'll say they half get a team in if they get in. Is that what we call it, I guess?
Yeah, but you talk about what we expected at the beginning of the season. How about Miami 3-2 in the conference, 7-2 overall. Clemson 3-4, 4-5 overall, and Florida State 1-5 in the conference, 4-5 overall.
Crazy.
Just a completely strange year.
The 1-4 for Florida State, yeah. Yeah, I think strange year to say the least. And I think that's across college football. I mean, we look at what the expectations were for the South Carolina Gamecocks, too, for Clemson, for all these teams. And, maybe we should stop, overhyping some of these people before we actually see the teams play this year. But that's what we do, right?
Yeah, we'll save my rant for preseason polls for another show. Right now, we got a lot more to cover on this show, Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. Rick Henry along with Summer Hector. And Summer, we're going to talk about those Carolina Panthers. Yesterday, they hosted a one-win New Orleans Saints team. One-win New Orleans Saints team. And they couldn't get it done. They lose to the Saints 17-7. And Summer, since the Panthers beat my Dallas Cowboys, they played 4 games. They are averaging 1 touchdown per game in those 4. And you just can't get it done scoring those few points in the NFL or at any level of football, really. You saw Rico Dowdle there. Of course, he's been elevated to the number 1 running back for the Panthers. But yesterday he managed only 53 yards rushing. He and Chuba Hubbard combined for 67 yards rushing. Alvin Kamara for the Saints had 83 yards. It was a disappointing day overall for the Panthers. And here's head coach Dave Canales.
Frustration, because we didn't play our version of football. That was not us. That we can't have that. We can't give up big plays and we can't turn the ball over. Offense has to be more opportunistic and take advantage of some of the situations where the defense made some adversity stops for us and got us the ball back over and over in the second half, and we didn't come away with anything off of it.
Yeah, and Bryce Young, his numbers yesterday, 17 of 25 for 124 yards. No touchdowns, and I know he had at least 1 interception. So, Summer, the Panthers are 5-5, and while they had their hot streak going, Panthers fans were all excited talking about the playoffs. Do you think it's possible for the Panthers to make the postseason?
I feel like in the NFL anything's possible, so I don't want to rule it out. But I think this was really a chance. The Panthers they win in Green Bay. A good win against Green Bay. Like you said, that was a low-scoring game too. I think it was like 16-13. But you're back here and you're thinking, okay, back to the NFC South now, and they're sitting in second. They're playing the Saints that are last. Here's a chance to really make a statement, and they didn't do that. It just kind of seemed like a lot of the energy was just dull out there. And like we said, the defense has played well. I mean, they're holding these teams to 17-7. It's the Saints, like we said, but still, you talked about Alvin Kamara's numbers, and so I think they're doing a lot of what they can. Now it's time for the offense to kind of step up. In the first few weeks of the season, I was thinking Bryce Young was actually looking really good, and I was like, he's not the problem. But now you start to wonder what's going on with this offense. It's kind of funny to hear Dave Canales say we didn't play our brand of football. What is this team's brand of football, though? Do we really know? Like you said, I do think Rico Dowdle should be RB1 in this system, so I'm glad he's been elevated to that. I think he's shown a lot of passion in this one. But, yeah, Rick, what do you think this Panthers team's brand is? It's hard to say where I think they'll finish the season when I'm not really sure they know their identity.
Well, early in the season, it looked like, wow, they were playing great defense. They had a great running game with Rico Dowdle leading the way. And Bryce Young, he wasn't making the same mistakes that he's made the previous seasons. But now it looks like they're being reverted to being the bad cats. Again, averaging a touchdown a game, it's not going to get it done. So, Producer Nick, did you say it's time for a break? All right. Well, we're going to take another time out, and we'll be right back with more of Palmetto Sports Daily.
Welcome back here to Palmetto Sports Daily. Before we go on with our Monday, we wanted to mention some college basketball because what a thriller it was last night for the Gamecock men's basketball team. They stay undefeated on the season. They're 2-0, but Southern Miss took them to overtime in this game, but the Gamecocks able to pull out an overtime win over Southern Miss. So excited to see that one. Michi Johnson back for, I think, year 7 in college basketball, back at South Carolina. He had a career high 33 points. He was a little emotional after the game, too. But, Rick, I don't know. With this South Carolina team, I was like, oh, gosh, I don't know if fans wanted to see them struggle with Southern Miss, but it was nice to see them pull it out in overtime because there were some points last season where I don't think they would have. So I think that is growth for this team. But what did you see out of this Gamecock team last night?
Well, yeah, I'm sure the Gamecock fans, they were a bunch of nervous Nellies watching that game because Carolina, they had a double-digit lead, then they lost it. They fell behind by 11 points in the second half, and they put up a graphic that showed that Southern Miss was picked to finish 12th in the Sun Belt Conference, and the Gamecocks, they're picked to finish last in the SEC, but even if you're the last-place team in the SEC, you got to beat the 12th-place team in the Sun Belt Conference. And Michi Johnson, a career-high 33 points. Here's Michi on his big day.
We're fighters, we're competitors. We didn't want to be in that situation, obviously, but that was a great team, man. Like, that was a really, really great team. They had some great players. But if you look around the country, man, a lot of people's been in that situation, like, early in the season. So we'll bounce back. You know, we got practice tomorrow. We'll get in the lab, we'll watch film, and we'll learn from this. I'm just glad we was able to come out victorious.
Yeah, in summer, Michi was hitting some three-pointers that Steph Curry would have been proud of. He was 7 of 14 on threes. Quite a performance by him.
Yeah, they're late. I think it was, 3 back-to-back to send it to overtime, right, or to tie it up to force overtime. So, you know, it's nice to see the clutch factor, you know, when it matters most, to see a guy like him, a guy with lots of experience and to be a veteran now and to step up and kind of do that. I thought that was really cool to see, too. And I hope other guys can kind of learn, you know, to rally behind that, and hopefully they can keep that going this season.
Yeah, he was very emotional because he transferred back to Ohio State. I know he had a death in his family and had to get some counseling, but he's back at South Carolina where he said it feels like family. All right, that's going to wrap it up for Palmetto Sports Daily. Have a good evening.